name is Tao Ha, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology here at ASU. And I study the development of adolescent romantic relationships and peer relationships and parent relationships.
Hi, my name is Leah Doan. I am a professor in the Department of Psychology, and I'm also the area head for the developmental area of graduate training. I think one thing that we've identified that does happen is oftentimes parent-child relationships actually get better during the collegiate years. And some of this is that you're no longer living together under the same roof, so there's less opportunity for conflict. But also just, I think as students mature across their collegiate years, it's really fun to watch the parent-child relationship become one that's much more bidirectional, right? As opposed to unidirectional.
So some dating relationships are continuing, they become long distance. That's sometimes challenging for students. And then they will develop new romantic relationships when they are in college. And these relationships can take on different forms, such as hooking up relationships, or actually all the way to like more serious committed relationships. And with friendships, again, some friendships will remain, some will change, and then there are new friendships. Often we are focused on all of the practical things that need to happen in the transition to college. What is your dorm going to be? How are you going to get there? And all of the practical things, and we forget about all the emotional changes that are happening at the same time.
So relationships, and this can be family relationships, this can be romantic relationships, or friends, right? They can be incredible support systems, right? And as well as huge sources of motivation. So, I think lots of students talk about having great motivation to want to give back to their family.
So hanging out with the wrong friends. So what are wrong friends? You go out and you drink a lot and you spend most of your time not studying. And so that is an example of how friendships are actually not benefiting academics.
Relationships can also be forms of stress. And so what's really important to acknowledge is that relationships that are particularly demanding or conflict-ridden can affect student achievement in the classroom. And so thinking about the conflicts or demands you might be placing on your student, or that the student is experiencing with a romantic partner or with a friend, and helping them find resources to help them resolve those so that it doesn't affect their academics. Because this is, relationships really can affect our emotions and our ability to concentrate and focus in. And so knowing the questions to ask to make sure that the relationships are healthy and promoting the student's well-being, whether it's a parent's personal relationship with a child or a relationship they're hearing about that their child has with others on campus. I think it's important to keep those lines of communication open and acknowledge when something needs to change and not being afraid to say something.
I actually think as a parent, even though your relationship with your child is changing, you're still a main source of support for them. And so I think a lot of the work that has already been done, right, is actually benefiting your student, your child now when they are in college. And I think it's really important to listen and be non-judgmental. Be as non-judgmental as you can, and listening and kind of just, asking, what can I do for you? Those are all very helpful techniques to support your child.
So I think for parents, it's actually having a conversation about the change that likely will happen, to hear the student's perspective on it, which sounds weird and uncomfortable sometimes. But I think having a dialogue about an anticipation of how the relationship might change, and what the child wants from the relationship, and what you as a parent want from the relationship is really important.
But I think it's important to not get over involved when it's not necessary. Another scenario that a lot of students at ASU in particular have is they are like a first generation student. And their parents actually don't know anything about what's going on in college because they haven't been to college themselves. They don't speak the language. Well, just realize you're still really, really important in the life of your child. They know that you're proud, and I think it's really important to kind of communicate that And I think the same is true for students who are coming from abroad. Digital connections are essential. But I also think that is just, even though parents are in a total different part of the world, they're still impacting their child's development and academic engagement. I see a lot of students in my classes, and I really enjoy teaching, and I really enjoy hearing my students' stories. And so realize that within your studies, your professors are your biggest advocates as well. And so you can talk to them. It's really good to realize that either like the teaching assistant is, if there is one, or the professor can really be a big resource. And otherwise they can refer you to different opportunities or resources.
So ASU has a lot of resources. So as students are facing some of these challenges and challenges in relationships, this can be a lot emotionally for them, but also emotionally for the parents. So things like health services and counseling services is a great place to start. And oftentimes it might even just take 1 or 2 sessions to just be able to verbalize the anxiety and come up with strategies of how to deal with those particular emotions that they're having. So whether that's joining a new club or finding others who have other common interests, there's so many clubs at ASU, and I feel like it's such a broad community that students likely will be able to find like-minded others to be able to build new relationships if others come to an end.